Hey, when you're winning, calling games is the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Jarom Jordan, Jason Shepard, Greg Wrubell's been calling a bunch of wins this year for men's basketball. And Greg, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Hi.
It's fun
Good morning,
to watch BYU men's basketball right now. I can't remember a more connected team in maybe BYU history. Like this is an unbelievable beginning to what we hope is a spectacular season.
Yeah, the phrase this season is borrowed from Ken Palm, minutes continuity. It's a stat you'll find at the bottom of his team breakdown, and it references the amount of minutes or percentage of minutes your team is playing this year from the guys who played those minutes last year. And BYU's minutes continuity percentage is high. It's top 25. And you're seeing the value of getting old, right? Let's get old. And they got old. And most everybody from last year are the same parts of this year. A couple of notable exceptions. Trevin Knell, part of the team for a long time, but didn't play last year, contributing a lot right now. 12-plus points a game, shooting high 40s, mid-40s three. So Trevin Knell is a huge addition, but part of the program. And then Ali Khalifa. The NC State game becomes the one you look back and you go, wow, how big was that for BYU? Losing Foose early, what do you do? Ali hadn't been playing. They bring him in playing, I think, 27 minutes that night, helps them get that big win, has since been able to have consecutive starts. So of the newcomers that Mark Pope brought in, there were really only two, right? Dawson Baker, Ali Khalifa, Marcus Adams really not a factor right now because of the waiver issue. So of the two, Ali's been the only one to play. But man, what a role he's played in those minutes. And then when Dawson Baker joins the show, though, then you've got a whole different scenario to the positive for BYU as well. So this very cool combination of all the veteran experience, the getting old part, the reinsertion of Trevin Knell, the addition of Ali Khalifa, the waiting for Dawson Baker. It's a really intriguing team. And then, of course, the numbers they're putting up are exceptional. You talk about what do you do in the Big 12? How do you compete in the Big 12? And I think we thought that if they could just do something exceptionally, be an outlier in a really positive way, what might that thing be? And the easy thing to look to was, well, maybe they could be a really good three-point shooting team again, a la Mark Pope's first year in 2019-20. And here they are, leading the nation in three-point attempts and three-point makes. And that's the exceptional part of a really solid all-around offense. That's the positive outlier part. They are so unique in that respect and doing it so much better. That's the thing that will make BYU hard to defend for every Big 12 and every team they see this year. They'll have to worry about that one thing that BYU does better than almost anybody else in college basketball.
You look at all of the rankings and the metrics right now, and BYU #1 in the net. We know that right now they're 14th in the AP, 13th in the coaches poll. It's slipping my mind where they are in Ken Palm. Six. There you go. Thank you.
They were 5 for a few minutes the last couple nights, but yes, 6.
So put into perspective what all of these metrics and rankings mean for BYU.
Well, you can't really fool the computers because they'll adjust for your opponent's strength. And so, yeah, every team this time of the year plays a few sub-200, 300 Ken Palm teams, but they adjust for that. The numbers are real. What they're doing translates. And so you're not rigging or fooling anybody right now. You are an offense. You're an efficient offense that's exceptional three-point shooting, that's really good at rebounding at both ends of the floor. And three-point defense may be a bit of a misnomer, but they have the lowest three-point percentage allowed at the same time. What a great combination to be the best three-point team in one way, and to allow a lower percentage than any other team on three-point shots the other way. And so what is BYU not doing well right now? The answer is almost nothing. I mean, everything you want to be good at, they're good at.
Shooting a ton of free throws. But when you make threes,
you don't need
it's okay.
Yeah, the percentage of points they score on free throws has come down. As a percentage of points they score on threes has gone way up.
I'll take threes.
So you'll take the compensation.
Yeah.
The turnover percentage number, I think it's kind of lost a little bit, but they were over 20% on turnover rate last year, meaning one of every 5 possessions was going empty.
Yeah.
Okay? Over 20 is hard to win a lot of games that way. They're under 15 right now. Dropping at 5+ percentage points is a massive improvement. And that's 3 or 4 possessions a game that suddenly aren't going empty, but giving you a look. And the way BYU is getting looks right now and making them, that's been a huge factor as well.
Okay, because I know you're a huge fan of both, are you a bigger fan of BYU being #1 in the net?
Or Rush.
Or of the 1993 movie
Battlestar Galactica.
Sandra Bullock, The Net?
I will go with being #1 in the net, big Sandy Bullock fan and who's not.
Yeah.
But
America's sweetheart.
Can't say that I'm too conversant with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie thinking, she's ordering pizza online.
Yeah.
What is this?
Wow.
Let's go back to War Games, the movie in the 80s. And that was one that blew me away.
I want to say that might have aired on BYUtv at some point.
Yeah.
We're talking to Greg Wrubell, the voice of the Cougars. Huge game at Utah. This is the one true road game. There's a lot of true to that. A lot of BYU fans, I think, are going to be in the house. I think more Utes than show up regularly at men's basketball games will be there as well.
Yeah.
What kind of environment and opportunity do you see for BYU in let's be honest, this feels like a really, really big game for the Cougars.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be as many BYU fans as the Jimmer from Half Court game, because that at one point started feeling like a home game. But I think a lot of BYU blue in the stands on Saturday afternoon. And yeah, it's kind of the game you're looking at. Okay, yes, they're 8-0. Yes, they're 1 in net. Yes, they're 6 in Ken Pom. Yes, all these things are great. Can they do it in someone else's building? Because they'll get only the one chance to do it before they get into Big 12 play. And by the way, this isn't a true outlier. There are dozens of teams that haven't played a true away game yet. In fact, half the Big 12 hasn't played a true away game yet. So BYU's not doing something crazy here. It's a pretty normal preseason. But in this instance, I think BYU realizes that with this many quad ones you're going to see in league, you can be a little home heavy. It won't hurt you at all. But yeah, Utah's an interesting team. They're a top 50 Ken Pom team. They're a pretty good offensive team, generally speaking. It's in their three-point defense that I think the focus has to go, because that was going to be Evansville's weakness this past Tuesday. Was they had a lot of three-point looks and a pretty high percentage of three-point makes, and Utah's in the same vein. They allow a lot of three-point looks, allow a high three-point percentage, and a high percentage of opponent points scored on threes. So if BYU can have a good to average night from three, that'll be a challenge for Utah. The Brendan Carlson thing we watch didn't play Tuesday. I think the presumption was that they rest him with the hope to have him ready for the weekend. But yeah, these Utah BYU games always tend to take on a unique personality. And in fact, it was Mark Pope's first year with BYU. Took a really good team up there. Well, this was, of course, was the Jake Yoli TJ team that ends with COVID, right? 17, 18-point lead, losing overtime.
Yoli cramps up in that game.
Yeah, so, you never know with this one.
You never know.
BYU's done well, and it's a small sample size without Foose, certainly. But we were discussing in trending, how long can BYU afford to not have him? How do you look at that?
Not that you can look past these next 4 games after Utah, but if they could find a way to win at Utah without last season's leading scorer and rebounder, then I think you've probably passed your toughest test between now and Big 12 play. And the way that Ali and Atiki and Noah are kind of combining to fill those minutes inside, however you want to factor it out, it's been really impressive, because again, you're not just losing a piece. That was like the piece from last year's team. And to do it without him right now and kind of not miss a beat, not just win games, but still be winning by 20 and 30 and 40 points, that's super impressive. But I'd hope that if you can just get past the Utah game, you can find a way to cobble together enough to get through the next 4 at home before you start Big 12 play. The hope, if I had the wish list, it would be, the Christmas wish list would be get Foose and Dawson Baker back for league and see what your team looks like.
And a PS5. Yeah, something like that.
Those days are past for me. Yeah.
For the grandkids. For the kids.
A good book, so yeah.
A good book and a nice
fireplace.
warm fireplace. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. How has this start adjusted your expectations, if at all, for how BYU could play in the Big 12?
Well, I think if the expectation was try and get into some kind of postseason situation, it's now gone to what kind of seed you're going to get in the NCAA tournament. And there's a lot of basketball to play between now and then, but the way they played has prompted that kind of discussion. You go from nowhere in Lunardi to a 4 seed in the span of a few weeks.
And in Salt Lake, we're like, oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so life comes at you fast, the way BYU is playing.
Yes, it does.
And again, so much to be done, and this thing is still going to be a gauntlet. But yet again, I think the expectation is, well, maybe you could possibly squeak into something at the back of the league, and now you're saying, well, no, let's go compete. Let's go see where this thing takes us, because you already know that the Big 12 is going to give you a chance to be, at the very worst, a middle-of-the-pack NCAA tournament team, with the hope of maybe finding yourself in the upper tier by the time this thing is all said and done. So the great depth of this league gives you a lot of leeway to lose a game here or there and still not feel like, because remember how it is in the WCC, the minute you drop a game at Pepperdine, you're like, uh-oh. The minute you lose at San Diego, it's like, uh-oh, what's this going to do? And now you can you can have a bad night and not have it bite you.
It's literally the worst loss in the Big 12 to be a quad 2. There's no quad 3, quad 4s. Yeah. As of now, I don't see that happening either.
What do you think it means for this team? We see all the rankings and the metrics, and that's one of the reasons why they're getting talked about. But to have a John Rothstein or Fran Fraschilla or all these guys on some of these national podiums talking about BYU on social media and how impressed they are, for this team, how big is that?
Well, we've seen a lot of the BYU logo between football and basketball this season nationally. And so you're already seeing the rising tide lifting all boats for BYU, which is great to be in that mix. You know, the bottom of the screen crawl, however the case is going to be, the BYU name and logo and product is getting mentioned and seen and heard a lot. And it just means you're part of the club, right? And Mark Pope, you're going to see his face a lot more and hear his voice a lot more, and that's a good thing because he's a great representative of BYU, everything it is, and his energy kind of mirrors the energy of the program right now. So these are halcyon days for BYU hoops, and really, even though football had the end it did to the season, some disappointment there. They gave themselves a starting line, a measuring stick, and hopefully move forward from here. It was a year ago today, I think BYU announced the hiring of Jay Hill. We should be finding out here in probably days to come, new additions to a coaching staff, what kind of energy and tactical know-how that will bring, and it'll bring thoughts to spring and summer and improvements BYU can make. So these are great days to be a Cougar.
Hey, we've got weeks more of the portal. We got a lot cooking here.
We're just off a soccer Final Four last week. I mean, again, the logo, the name, it's out there, and BYU's in a really good spot right now.